Hi, I'm Nazneen, Contractor,
Hi, everybody. I'm Brennan Elliott.
and we are so excited for you to watch the premiere of our all new original movie, The Perfect Pairing, as part of New Year, New Movies.
We, of course, have a couple questions that Hallmark Channel sent our way. So, what do you say, Nazneen? We get started?
Yeah, you go first.
All right. First question. Excuse me. In The Perfect Pairing, anonymous food and wine critic Christina gets introduced to vineyard owner Michael. Can you tell us a little bit about how they meet? Well, all I can say is she fell at my feet the first time she met me. No, the
It,
no, no pun intended.
it's true. It's true.
Um, when I first meet her, she slips and falls at my feet, and obviously, obviously you're concerned and want to take care of her. That's the first time I meet her. She falls on ice and falls down and hits her head, and the journey ensues. But I think it's a wonderful way to meet for the first time. And that was actually our first or second scene we shot, wasn't it, Nazneen?
It was definitely the first day. Yeah, they meet. I like to say, not to give away too much, but they meet and immediately they both have a clean slate.
Oh my God.
Right?
That's really good.
They do.
And they do.
Because she's there, she goes there by mistake. She falls, she hits her head, and she has no idea who she is.
No idea. And neither do I. And then it's just, the one thing that's great about this movie is you don't want to give away too much because there's so much going on. And it's like if you pull something out of something, you'll know what's going on with everything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's got so many subplots and little, it's like an onion. You got to peel away little things. And so I think that starting and meeting that way, it just gives the story so many places to go. And I think it's a great way to meet. And I've never done any movie or project where I met in that kind of circumstance. And I thought, and it was great because you and I had never met before, really. And it was our first time meeting. So there was this kind of, natural, organic uncomfortability in this process of getting to know each other. And it was very organic and real. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, you slipped and you fell at my feet.
I did. It's true. And then I proceed to fall for him for the entire movie. Okay, I'll do the next question. All right. So Michael and Christina are getting to know each other while Christina is trying to remember who she is. Why do you think the viewers will resonate with this storyline? So I think the viewers are going to resonate with this storyline because I think that there is something so pure and innocent about seeing things for the first time in life. It's like being a child, right? And when Christina loses her memory, everything is new to her. She doesn't remember any of her old habits or her old ways. So everything is like, literally every day is a gift, and the present is like a joy for her.
Mm-hmm.
Her middle name is also Joy. And I think that that's a wonderful reminder for viewers to see that even some of the things that we take for granted every day are actually beautiful and special and intimate. And it's a really wonderful platform for a love story because she is, in her vulnerability and her openness, she really, I think, opens Michael up.
Totally. Oh, absolutely.
And his daughter as well, and the family. I think it's a bit contagious. So that's what resonated for me when I read the script.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, what a wonderful state to be. What a, it's scary, but at the same time, this state of consciousness where everything that happens to you is informative and a gift and a surprise.
It's my mother used to say when I was growing up, always stay in the present. It's a gift. That's why they call it present,
Yeah.
And that's really throughout this script and throughout the story, very, very important. So I totally agree with what you said. And I think also seeing two people find their true selves and who they really are and opening up to their true self through this process from the moment you obviously hit your head and you have to start from square one. And I think Michael's at a point where he's starting at square one in a lot of areas of his life, which we'll obviously get into with some of these questions too. But it's a beautiful love story from its infancy to the end. And you have to be present, you have to be open, and you have to be able to be vulnerable enough to ask those questions and search, and your character is doing a lot of that. And mine is doing it almost through osmosis, through your guidance, and I'm guiding you. It's really a symbiotic relationship that we're not even aware of. You know what I mean? And I thought that was one of the reasons I wanted to do it. Also, was that kind of relationship journey of two people opening up to each other and finding not only their true selves, but love and what that means in the present moment. And so it was really special. And I think it's a little bit out of the box in regards to a love story. You know what I mean? In the best way, in something really refreshing. So, and I know that'll resonate, I think, with a lot of viewers. Okay, question 3. While Michael helps Christina get her memory back, their connection towards one another grows deeper. Do you each have a favorite scene together you can't wait for viewers to see? You know, I don't want to sound cliche here, but I have so many scenes that I loved in this movie. I haven't seen it, but that I loved filming. I loved being in the scene. I loved the dynamics on the page, the dialogue, just working with Nazneen, and even working with our daughter and Art Hindle, who plays, you know, obviously my dad. There's just so much rich stuff going on. But I have to tell you, I don't know if it's just the Hallmark world in that universe, but the last scene, just not only the scene itself, but what we had to go through to get that scene done.
Oh my gosh.
Which was one take. Which was one take. I'll remember that scene for a long time. Yeah, for a very, very long time. Remember that?
I remember it. I think I actually subconsciously forgot it, so I would like act again in my life. And the only reason we're saying this is not because it wasn't gorgeous. It just happened to, so we shot this movie. We started it in March, and we shot it in an area called Niagara-on-the-Lake, which is like this beautiful wine country in Canada, very close to the US. And it's right on the lake, so it's extremely cold. And we just had, for some reason that day, like, it's not really spring in Canada in March, it's still winter. It was so bitterly cold that day. And it was so windy. It was so windy that everything that they had set up for this gorgeous last scene of this party scene, I don't want to give too much away, but like literally things were swaying. And
we had like 15 minutes to get it. Remember, Nazneen? We had to get it.
Yeah, we were also like so rushed for time and wearing almost nothing, right? But looking fabulous, hopefully. And yeah, it was freezing. It was so cold. And they just had to, it was one of those moments where it was so cold where for me, right before we'd start each take, I'm like, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to remind myself that I've wanted to be an actor since I can remember. And this is part of the job. And I'm going to think warm thoughts and I'm going to do this. And then, but you know what the beautiful thing about that scene was, and I love about acting, I'll let you say, is that honestly, it was so cold in between, cut and the previous action. But as soon as the director said action and I would get into the scene and I would look at Brennan, I wasn't cold. I wasn't cold for those moments. Like I was so present in the moment, it was fine. And then it was like some kind of switch. As soon as he'd call cut, the director called cut, I'd be like, I can't feel my feet. I can't feel my hands. I can't feel my feet. I can't feel my hands. But in the moment, I felt so swept away with the environment and the story that I didn't feel cold. So all I remember is actually how beautiful it was until you reminded me about how cold it was.
Well, it felt like cryotherapy.
It was. That's exactly what it was. It was like taking ice baths or like having like buckets of ice cold water poured on you.
When I was getting ready, I thought, this is one of the reasons why I want to quit acting. Kidding. But it was, no, listen, guys, I'm not kidding. And I'm from cold climates. That was, and I remember
it was a really cold day.
Our director, who's just lovely, and Robert Vaughn, who I love to death. I mean, these guys were just champions to keep this thing on its feet, keep us going. Because we had to go back in June and finish it up.
But they were also in like snow pants, Brennan.
Yeah. We had, I mean, to Nazneen's defense, I mean, as all women on Hallmark, when they're obviously the stars of these movies and these scenes, she was dressed in a cocktail dress, and there was no, she had no clothes. It was just a nice shearing cocktail dress and a suit. And I mean, obviously I had a couple layers, but we didn't. It was, but the scene itself, I know will turn out, because when we were doing it, it was just it was so alive with just, we knew we had to get in it. You know what I mean? Because we only.
And it was like, oh my God. Okay. So of course I say this with the utmost professionalism, but it was like the best Hallmark kiss.
Oh yeah.
It really was.
Yeah, it was.
But then I watched a couple of other Brennan's movies. I'm like, oh, he kisses all the girls like that. Okay, well, that's okay. But it felt like the best for me. I was like, wow, that was so passionate. And then I'm like, oh, wait, he does that every time. That's his signature thing.
The fact that I could kiss like that at minus 72 degrees or whatever the heck the thing was is testament. So,
yeah, maybe it was the cold.
That's a scene that I really remember for a myriad of reasons, but yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a scene for you, Nazneen? Is there another scene, or is it that one as well?
You know, I really loved, it was such a simple scene, and I think we actually shot it very quickly as well, but I loved the scene where we were in the car singing to the song.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was
Remember? So
movie.
there's, I don't want to give too much away, but there's this moment where, like, basically my character lives in two worlds, and in the sense that, you know, her memory eventually comes back, but she then has to, like, face who she is and what that means to the people around her. And it's like there's a few scenes where I'm sort of living this duplicitous life, and it was so wonderful as an actor. But there's this great moment in the car when we're singing a song where, you know, I get kind of carried away with the moment and almost get caught out. And it was just it was one of those great moments as an actor where you make a sharp turn in a scene, but it was also just like, it was a beautiful day, remember? And it was all green screen, but it was actually a gorgeous day. And we liked the song. We both liked the song. Brennan has a great singing voice. So I was just like, kind of like, speak singing. And he was really singing. It was good. It was just a wonderful, it was so much fun, this role. Like, really, I said this in my post, but I think this is my favorite Hallmark movie that I've done. I haven't done as many as you, but the twists and turns and the amount I got to stretch, and the story itself and the setting, like it just, everything about it felt so good, even though it was a really challenging shoot because of the weather and the climate. It was so fulfilling. I felt so good leaving that show.
There's just, you know, and like I said, just to wrap up my side of it, there was just so many scenes. I mean, the cookie scene. I mean, there's just so many things. I mean, I remember in the scene in the ice room, and there's just so many scenes where, how are we going to do this? Like, how are we going to do this? And it just, and like I said, I haven't seen it, but you always know when you leave a scene going, okay, all right, we were connected, we were there, but we had a lot of elements to keep us from being connected, but we just included it, and it turned out great. There's so many really, really great scenes, and it was a real joy to work with you and to do this movie, and I'm really proud of that.
Oh, me too. Okay, let me move on. Okay, question number 4. All right, Michael and Christina help each other face their own personal struggles. For Christina, it's learning to live in the moment. And for Michael, it's going after your dreams. What qualities do you admire most about your characters? So I think that living in the moment and letting go of certain stuff is something that, like, Nazneen, sometimes struggle with, because I'm such a goal-oriented person and such a always thinking ahead person. And I think that's good because I'm organized and stuff like that. And I'm a mom of 2, and I kind of have to be. But I feel like sometimes it would serve me and the people around me so much more if I was just enjoying the moment in front of me, as opposed to being like, oh, the kids are playing, I'm going to do the floors really quickly, or I'm going to, like, fold laundry right now, you know, like, because that's really, I mean, that's not very glamorous, but it's kind of my life when I'm not working.
You're the best multi-tasker I've probably ever seen.
Thank you. But I think that I could be, I could definitely be a little more spontaneous and live in the moment. And having gone through that with Joy, with Christina Joy Osborne, my character, it was such a reminder to me. I was like, God, I have so much to be grateful for. And I should really take, even if it's just a couple of moments every day, to just be thankful for it and appreciate it and really be in it. Mm-hmm. And that's really what playing Christina taught me.
Right.
And if things don't go your way, let it go.
Right.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Right.
But go for it anyway. And if it
doesn't, totally go for it anyway. And if it doesn't go your way, let it go. Try again later. It doesn't matter, right?
That's one
Life's too short.
That's one of the things with Michael that it was the first thing off the page that made me go, oh, this is going to affect me. I know it is, because Michael, one of is, he has a comfortable life. He's doing his dream. It's very comfortable. He can make this regular wine. You know, he's making his wine. He's successful is subjective, I guess, but he has a dream, and he wants to break out of what's safe and what's secure and try to take a big risk at something that might not be safe and secure. And I know that based on either, you know, from family or certain things I've gone through, there's been some years there where I could do this, and this is comfortable. Or I could accept that and take a big risk, and maybe that'll even be better, but I'm not sure, so I'll say no to that. You know what I mean? And it made me really realize that, because Michael is committed because he knows he's enough. His self-esteem is strong enough that he knows he's talented enough with this wine to go out and do ice wine. He knows he is, regardless of what everybody says. And it really was a journey that I take personally, that I'm really growing into that area where I know, with my dreams and my aspirations and my goals, that I'm going to take a little more risks here because I know I can do it. You know what I mean? Whereas a couple of years ago, maybe a few years ago, I just, no, I won't. I don't know if I can do that. I always admire people that are like, I have a friend of mine who was working for a big financial firm. I've known him since I was a kid, and he's brilliant mind. And I always used to tell him, I said, go start your own business. I mean, you're really, really smart. And he never did. And then when he finally realized, he goes, I'm going to take a risk and do it. He's much more at ease with himself. He's happier. He's much more, he just feels better, and he's become even more successful. But he had to take that risk and go into the unknown. And that's always been something I think has scared me at times in my career. And when I read that, I thought, wow, that's telling me something I want to incorporate into my life. So it really was. And I'm not saying all projects make you walk away when you get on that plane home after you wrap and go, I learned something about myself that I really want to work on. This was one of those. So did that make sense?
To me. It did. It makes sense. It totally made sense.
All right. I will do the next question. Let me just get this going here. Okay. Ice wine is a key element of this story that brings your characters closer together. What was it like getting to share the winemaking process throughout this movie? Well, I'm now a diabetic. I'm kidding. I just remember the guy that plays my dad tried the ice wine. It was so delicious. And he goes, oh, I can't have that anymore. I'll become a diabetic. It's so tasty. But the bottle of wine, the Hollybrook wine, which
it's very sweet.
Oh, well, all ice wine is sweet, but it's so effervescent. It's flowery and with peach undertones. I'm feeling like I'm a sommelier here, but which I'm not. But it was, it was so tasty. And to learn the process, I mean, before I started started shooting the movie, Nazneen, I went and I think I told you, and I went to a vineyard for 3 nights, and I spent time with this guy that made wine, and I wanted to learn everything because we had time. I mean, obviously it was a different world last year, so there was a little more time before usually these movies, you have a week and you go to shoot, and I think we had a couple weeks, and it was fascinating, the passion. They're like scientists. They're like,
yes, it is.
And they don't believe in making wine just for the profit. They believe in the beauty of how it makes you feel, and the certain types of fruits that make you feel relaxed, and how it makes you feel, the sweetness has to be at a certain level. And so it just was really fascinating for my character, but I got fascinated as somebody who has in his life, I mean, I enjoy red wine or white wine just like anybody else, and hadn't really tried a lot of ice wine. And when I got into that process and learned about it, it's fascinating. These people aren't just winemakers that make wine and they own big companies and they sell them, bottles all over the world. It's a real science to these people, and they care about their product. And ice wine is obviously very sweet. And I remember my wife and I tried a bottle before I shot, and we've had to get some because she loves it so much. So I love that it was a major plot point, and the process of learning about it was amazing for me.
Yeah, so my character is a food and wine critic, and I have spent some years in the restaurant industry. So is my real life husband. My husband used to sell wine, so I feel like, I came to this movie with a lot of passion because I knew a little bit about the subject. But
Right.
Just to add to what Brennan said about making wine, and we have friends who make wine. I mean, it is science. It's like climate control, the type of soil that it grows in. And it was so fun with ice wine because I wasn't really knew a lot about ice wine before I went into this movie. But ice wine, it actually takes that scientific process to the next level because, and we talk about it in the movie, the grapes there has to reach a certain temperature of cold before you actually harvest the grapes. Because I don't know, it's like a little diet thing, but if you take grapes and you put them in the freezer and then you have them as a treat, they're so delicious. Like my kids love them. They think they're eating popsicle ice creams. Like they're like, the sweetness comes out so much when you freeze a grape, like way more than when you eat it at room temperature.
Totally.
And that is the science behind ice wine. So some people actually just take the grapes off the vine and freeze them. And a more organic process, which is one that Hollingbrook Winery does in the movie, is they actually let the temperature happen in the world, like leave the grapes on the vine until it reaches that temperature, and then they pick everything at that moment. And it becomes this like wonderful, it was like a wonderful scene to shoot, because it was this like great scene of like scientific explanation and fun picking frozen grapes in the snow. It was great.
Yeah, that's right. That's so true. We had a lot of fun in that scene, and that is absolutely true. And it's like, you have to be at a certain, I'm not going to give it away, but you have to be at a certain degree, not one less, not one above. It has to be that.
A point degree even, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was like 37.4 or something like that, or 34.7 or something like that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
It has to be enough that the ground isn't solidly frozen, but the grapes are frozen.
I know.
It's the idea. Because if the ground is frozen, then the plant will go dormant. So the grapes just have to be frozen, but the plant has to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Join us next week on Botany 101 with Brennan and Nazneen.
Yeah, we lost half our audience there with this one. This is they want romance and the feelings of the wine. They don't want to talk about how it's made.
Oh, but wait. So we didn't actually ever get to drink the wine. Obviously, we're actors. We're drinking like apple juice. But then we take the vineyard that we were shooting at. This may lead into the next. We actually shot at a vineyard. That vineyard actually is a very famous vineyard in Canada, and they actually make an ice wine. And we did try it once. Remember?
We did.
And I think we tried it in the ice wine room.
You might have been there. Know, actually, that's right. We did. That's right. We did.
And there is something like, it is very sweet and warming, and which is actually really nice when you're shooting in a room that is basically a giant freezer, walk-in freezer.
Yeah. Oh, it is. That's a cold room.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question. The viewers are going to love the gorgeous setting of a vineyard in winter. Were there any locations you enjoyed filming at? I mean, I really loved being at Peller Estates, the vineyard that we actually shot at. It was gorgeous. And it was like we had so many different changes in the weather. Like it actually eventually ended that it was spring and it was beautiful. And you've got like sprawling vineyards that like tourists bike ride through constantly. Like it's so romantic. And then the actual estate has a restaurant and an ice wine room and like big rooms that you can have events in, that we would have our green rooms in and our changing rooms in. So that was probably like, it kind of ended up feeling like home, didn't it?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like my favorite, obviously Peller Estates was just magic. It was like this kind of winemaking castle. And it was just absolutely taking. With
like a long driveway leading up to it. Every morning you drive down it. Yeah.
You and I shot in the vineyard with the snow and the snow coming down. It was just this, it reminded me of growing up as a kid, because the snow went on forever, and it was like, as Canadian, we're just walking and doing a scene, but there was moments when I'd be in the scene going, this is beautiful, man. Like really, really breathtakingly beautiful. But so I agree with you. The Peller Estates was like, the vineyards I met were more like a little mom and pop. They were a little smaller. They weren't as, this, I think it was Inniskillen.
Inniskillen. They do really.
But I think the fans are going to love the movie for a myriad of reasons, hopefully. But I mean, one of them is the landscapes and the sceneries are just, and that's what Hallmark does so great, is they make these kinds of tableaus of magic,
But this was a real tableau of magic. Like, I didn't have to do anything. That location was so gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. It was such a pleasure. And like, even like, sometimes I just opt to like walk from set to my trailer because it's just so gorgeous.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Taking that scenery, like,
Yeah.
I loved it.
Okay. All right. Number 7. This is the last question.
Okay.
There are many exciting scenes in The Perfect Pairing with your characters and Michael's daughter, Brittany. Oh, Brittany. Including having a snowball fight and baking delicious cookies. Are there any fun behind the scenes stories you can share? Where do I begin? I'll start it off with just that night that we shot the Snowball Scene. and there were some technical difficulties and different things that went on, and we didn't have a lot of time. But when we ended up getting a couple of takes in, it was so playful, so joyous. It was all the cast in one space, and we all throwing it, and we just let it loose and let it rip, and we went for it. And I just remember, I don't know, I just felt like a little kid having fun. And that scene always sticks with me. It was unbridled, joyful, youthful, exuberant fun. And in this business, when you have those moments, you walk away going, I want to do that all the time. I want to have more scenes like that. That was a lot of fun times. And we had the conversations Nazneen and I had, and the actress playing Brittany was, I mean, it's the sweetest thing in the world. And even the scene making the cookies itself was a joy. And in these movies, and the fans know this now, I think that, you don't have a ton of time to shoot these movies. And so to get something magical in a scene at such a quick pace, you got to have obviously chemistry, and you got to have great actors, and you got to have a great director and crew, but you got to have the whole set kind of together on the same page. And I just felt in this movie, we were all jamming like a family, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And the nice thing about that scene, which totally made it a very unique snowball fight, is they had pre-made all the snowballs for us, right? Remember, they had like this massive bucket of pre-made snowballs because it actually wasn't cold enough. So that day when we're wearing snow pants and like snow jackets, it was warm.
Yeah.
And then the day that I'm wearing less than I'm wearing now, it was freezing, of course. Yeah. But so they had to pre-make all of these snowballs and keep them in the freezer. So they literally had these snowballs, and then they'd pick them up, and they were great. They would like explode on impact, right? They were like real snow. So that was really, really, really fun. But Art was hilarious in that scene. The Art Hindle, who plays Brennan's father, was like so into the fight.
Oh yeah. And he kept, I've done a couple movies, Nazneen, with him, and we have a very, very close relationship. Obviously, that, and I love him dearly, but after that scene, I think we had met at my hotel for lunch one day, and I said, "You were really into that scene, man." And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "You threw some extra snowballs at me. You pissed at me or something? Are you upset at me?" He goes, "Oh, I gotta bring you down a level. I was your age once. I didn't like, you know what I mean?" He's just you're gonna love him in this movie. He's a doll.
Yeah.
But remember, you throw balls, and when you have a snowball, it can fly. But these are half snow and then half foam. So
yes, that's right. There were some of them were foam. That's right.
They would go, good. They would just like die in midair.
It's true. And I also really loved, so we also shot in this house, this crazy house. Remember that huge mansion that had stables on the property and that pool? Yeah. It was amazing, which serves as the Hollingbrooks home.
Yeah.
And it was this amazing house. So we shot all the interiors of the winery there. And it was a very, very like huge colonial mansion with grounds. It was stunning. But they had this gorgeous kitchen that, I feel like you can walk into a home and no matter how grand and big and sweeping it may be, like you can really feel the essence of a family in a home in someone's kitchen. And that kitchen, they had to do nothing to it. It was so perfect. It was like this gorgeous country kitchen. It was huge. It had gorgeous appliances. So we do a lot of baking in this movie. So I really loved being in that kitchen, not only because it felt like home, but the baking scenes were fun, especially because Don, our director, let us improvise. So Brennan was like juggling eggs, dropping eggs. And then Zarina, the girl who plays Brittany, we like improvise this cookie batter. And so she's throwing all this stuff in, and then we have to taste it, be like, "Ooh, we need more of this." It did not taste good. And we had to keep eating it. And it was so sweet. And at first, remember, Zarina was like, "Ooh, it tastes so good." And I was like, "Zarina, stop eating it. You're going to be sick." And then by the end, she was like, "Mommy, my tummy hurts." She was going off screen. We couldn't think of butterscotch for weeks after that.
Oh, I could imagine.
But it was great. It was so much fun, though. And that's the beauty of like working with a child actor, especially one as talented as Zarina, is like everything was just so exciting and fresh and lovely and sweet to her that it was so easy. It was so effortless to play those scenes. Like it didn't even feel like we were in a scene. It just felt like we were in a moment together. She was so good. She really was. And she really grew in the film. Like
she did. Yeah.
She was amazing.
I remember at the end of the movie, she gave everybody a hug, and she gave me this hug, and she says, "I had a lot of fun. I want to do this again." It has so much fun, or you're a part of making an experience for a child and I was never a child actor, but working with certain children, you got to be very careful. And you were amazing with her, Nazneen, because they can get turned off the process if you make it too intense or you make the experience not as enjoyable. And she really told her mother, she goes, I really want to do this again. And that made me feel kind of good too, that she had a great experience. They're
so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And she's just like, I think viewers are just going to love her in this movie because she's such a beautiful person on the inside and out,
Yeah. Sweetheart, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to wrap up our live chat, Nazneen, we have a rapid fire game of this or that, inspired pairing and New Year's and New Year's movies. Pick the option, Nazneen, that you like best. Both can answer. So I'll ask you the first one, you answer, then I answer, and then you can ask the next one, I'll answer, that kind of thing. Okay. Nazneen, visit a vineyard or relax by a bonfire?
That's a tough one.
I'll
do visit a vineyard.
I'd probably visit the vineyard and then relax by the bonfire, but that's me.
Wait, we can choose two. Okay, then I will also do it in that order. Okay, yeah. I will be drinking wine by the bonfire then.
I think, knowing me as I probably relax by a bonfire. There's something about a bonfire that I do like, but I would probably visit the vineyard and then go back with all the friends and family and sit by the bonfire. But yeah, that's a tough one.
Okay, ready? Next one.
Yes.
You can only pick one.
Okay,
It's this or that.
Yeah.
Okay, pairing of ice wine and cookies or milk and cookies?
I'm sorry, milk and cookies.
Me too. Like, without even thinking about it.
I mean, I love my ice wine and everything else, but that scene where you're in that ice room and the cookie and the ice wine, it went so well together.
It did actually go really well together.
Really surprised me because I thought this isn't really something you put together, but it went really well.
It did go well together.
But I'm a milk and cookies guy.
Me too. And I like to dunk the cookie in the milk and.
Oh, totally. Oh, absolutely.
Gotta do it.
Build a snowman or have a snowball fight?
Snowball fight.
Snowball fight. Full on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Setting New Year's intentions or making New Year resolutions?
Aren't they sort of the same?
No, I think an intention is something that you intend to do, and and a resolution is something that you were like.
I'd say intentions probably.
Me too. I'd say intention just to be active as well. And
then I never do them, but I try to do them. You start with it.
I do them for like the first month.
Yeah, I do them for the first couple hours, and then I go back to old habits. I'm kidding. Actually, Nazneen, would you rather go wine tasting or bake cookies?
I can't drink anymore, guys. I'm a mom and I can't do it. So I'm definitely going to go with baking cookies. I mean, I'd love the idea of going wine tasting, but I'll get a better night's sleep if I just bake cookies.
I 100% agree with you. And I mellowed out over the years for sure, but I have to be honest. It depends if it's a cheat night, eat all the cookies, or if I'm trying to watch by sugar and carbs, but that doesn't make sense but I have to go wine tasting.
You have to go wine tasting? I'm going to bake cookies.
Yeah. All
right. They're going to be like flourless and gluten-free.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay. Now, plan a winter wine festival or host a wine party. An intimate one or a big one? What would you do?
I'd host a wine tasting party probably.
Yeah, me too.
I love having people over. I love having dinners. I love gatherings. I love people bringing their own whatever, food or wine or trying things. And I've actually done that. My wife and I have done that. I remember, host a wine tasting party for me.
I would definitely host a wine tasting party in my home.
Yes, you would. I know you would. There's no way.
In fact, we do it every weekend.
From your Instagram, you guys are doing it right now. Your husband's sitting there like
He's actually waiting for me right now. 1 minute. No, I'm joking. He's not hungry.
So, wrapping up, please remind everyone, Nazneen, when and where they can tune in to watch the premiere of this amazing movie.
So, The Perfect Pairing is airing this Saturday at 8/7 Central on the Hallmark channel. Please watch it. Know that it's from our heart to yours.
And tweet along with us while you're watching to #The Perfect Pairing.
Thank you so much, guys.
I like that name.
It's perfect.
Great. It's just for what the story's about too. It's just that was really clever. So
Yeah.
okay. Love you all, guys. Can't wait.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brennan.
So good to see you, love. And send my love to your family, husband, your kids, and all the best.
Love to your family as well.
We'll see you all Saturday. We'll live tweet and we'll, maybe I'll crack open a little wine and we'll have a little fun.
I'll bake cookies.
I doubt it. Well, yeah, you might. Bye, everybody.
Bye.